Hello and welcome to my channel. Maybe you've been looking around on the Reticulum network, or at least the network hosted on the Reticulum protocol, and maybe you've been looking around using the Mesh Chat program, the Reticulum Mesh Chat program, which I made a video about recently. And maybe on there you've noticed this thing called Nomadnet. And if you look at Nomadnet, which I did show before, you see that there are simple pages hosted there and there are nodes attached to interfaces and there are servers. So it's a bit of fun, I thought, to try this out, which is what I've been doing for the last few days, and finally got it to work. So I thought I'd just show you in easy steps how I made it work and how to avoid the common pitfalls, which of course I fell into. So what I've got on the screen here is the GitHub page for a piece of software called Nomadnet, which is the server, if you like, which actually will appear in the Nomad network when it connects. And you can easily install this and get it running. It uses, as I said, the Reticulum network, and I've already explained it, but if you haven't seen that video, then the Reticulum network is this cryptography-based networking stack, which actually is not using the TCP/IP stack, which can work over any interface, any communication interface. I've shown it over the internet, and I've shown it using R nodes, which goes over the LoRa protocol on 868 megahertz in Europe and the UK. And you can communicate between these nodes, and using the Nomadnet software, then you can set up, you can host pages on it which are accessible via the internet or via radio using these R nodes at very low data rates, of course, but it works for the very simple web pages that are produced. You don't need much bandwidth. Read the manual is always good advice, but I'm not going to do that now. So if we look at the GitHub page again, that was Reticulum. We can also send messages. Also using this Nomadnet software, you can send messages to nodes in the Reticulum network using the LXMF system for sending messages, which is like email in a way, but without any email servers. So I think that's enough to say about that. This is what I did. I installed it and it ran. So without further ado, perhaps we should try doing that and see if I can get it to work. So I'm running this on Ubuntu because these are, well, I suppose you could run it on Windows too. It uses Python 3 and the pip install package. It's quite simple to set up. So I haven't tried it on Windows. This is Ubuntu 22.04 LTS version, and all I need to do is to, let me just go back to the home directory. That was from the last video. There we are. Let's have a look, make sure. Yep, that's the home directory. The other software that I have installed on this computer recently, which is a very fresh, newly installed Ubuntu, was the Reticulum Mesh Chat software from Liam Cottle. I put that in the apps directory, an app image to run. In this case now, for this software I'm talking about in this video, which is the Nomad Network software, which is called Nomadnet, you don't download anything. In fact, like I did before, what you do is you install it using pip in a Python environment. So yeah, which Python environment do I have on this computer? You just type which Python and it tells you nothing. So maybe it's Python 3. Yes, it is. And it tells you the location of the Python 3 files. So that's what this Python version is. It's Python 3, which in fact I think is the version that's needed anyway by the Nomadnet software. I think I read that somewhere. There's a lot to read and a lot to know and try out. So I'm just showing you the things that work for me to make a quick, easy solution or a way to set this up. So we know which Python we've got. We need to install Nomadnet, which is easy. We just do pip install Nomadnet, which is the name of the program. And pip's not installed on this system because it's freshly installed Ubuntu Linux. So I need to install that, which is very interesting, isn't it? So I do, how am I going to do this? Sudo apt install, and then the pip is actually called Python 3-pip. So 3 minus pip. Let me just check. Pip is the package manager for Python, a bit like apt is a package manager for Ubuntu or other Debian Linux distributions. So it's Python 3 pip. That's what I want to install, a package manager, so that looks okay. What's my password? Put that in. Yes. So that's installing pip, which shouldn't take too long. Once this is installed, you don't have to do it again, and you can then use it to install all kinds of other packages. But this video, I want to install Nomadnet using pip. So pip install Nomadnet should work this time, I hope. Yep. That looks like it's working. Yeah, not to worry about the warnings. There's nothing too serious. It should work. Good. So it's installed pip and some other dependencies. So I've done that. Let's see if it's installed. Let's do Nomadnet tap version. And it says not found. That's interesting. This is because we need to reboot the machine, so I'm going to reboot it. What I like about Linux is if you want to reboot, all you have to do is type reboot and press enter, and let's see what happens. So this machine is now rebooting, and I don't like editing videos, so I'm going to talk while it reboots, unless it takes too long, in which case I will edit it. So we've installed the software that we need, Nomadnet, and hopefully after the machine is rebooted we'll be able to see that it's running, and then we'll be able to run Nomadnet and take a look around. And the first thing that we need to do to make it work is to edit the config file, which is very important because there are one or two things that need changing. What I'm going to do is just look through it and see what I can see to change. So what's my password? That's the one. And I'm going to try that command again to look at the Nomadnet version. So let's do that. Let's just start the terminal and Nomadnet version. Oh, there we are. Now it works. It needed a reboot, so we're on 0.6.0. This Nomad Network client, or Nomadnet, includes the Reticulum software as well, and various other packages that are quite useful. What am I going to do next is I could run it. Let's try that. I'm just thinking of typing rn status because that should have been installed as well. Or maybe I won't. Maybe I will. rn status. Now I'm getting risky. I like doing things live. Okay, not at the moment. So let's run Nomadnet. And hopefully that will start up and it will run. And it is running. Look at that. Let's make it full screen so we can get a better view. And it starts up the first time with the help page. It's called the guide. This is a terminal-based program, so sometimes you can do things with mouse clicks, sometimes you need to enter control keys to make things happen. These tabs, you might want to call them, although they're not, across the top you can just click on. Sometimes I hit quit by mistake and then of course it exits the program. That's not a good idea. So this is the guide, and it gives some introductory explanation as to how the software works, how to use it. I'm not going to go through all of this now, but you can read it if you want. I did read through it quickly once, of course. And the important thing is to, as I said, set up the config file. So how are we going to do that? What I'm going to do is just show you the actual file structure, I think. And so in this files program on Ubuntu, it's very easy. This is the home directory with all the usual folders you'd expect. Down at the bottom you can see the ones beginning with dot are hidden. If in the default state, when it's fresh installed, you wouldn't be able to see those. You have to click on here, show hidden files, which is normally turned off. You have to turn that on, and then it will show hidden files, like these ones. So what I'm going to do is find the config file, so I know where it is. It's in .nomad network, which is here. So you're just going to double click on that to show you. And this config is the config file for the instance of Nomadnet that's running. There are three ways of editing it. You can either use the editor that comes with Ubuntu, just by double clicking on this, or you can go in here and edit the config file. There's a editor, you just click open editor and there's a nice editor in here you can use. or you can just use a favorite editor. My favorite is Nano, so I could just use that. Which one am I going to use? Let's use Nano because I already typed it in. No, but it's not in the right location. You know what? I'm lazy. Let's just double click on this and it should open the editor. So we're in .nomadnetwork/config, which is the file name. And there it is. That's the config file. Let's make this full screen. And it's quite, well, a little bit long, but not too long. There are maybe some things in here that need editing. So I'm just going to go through it and see what I spot. Actually, log level 4, I'm going to make it 5, verbose logging. So if there are any problems, I'll see what the cause of the problems are. So it's logging to a log file verbosely. What do we want to do? It's a client for the Nomad network. Do we want to enable the client? Yes. Text interface? Yes. Downloads to downloads folder. Those are all fairly standard things. With these nodes on the Reticulum network, they announce themselves at various intervals so that they can be found by other nodes. If you don't announce, then you'll never be found, so it can stay very hidden if you want. But the default state is to have announce at start set to yes. So when the program starts, it announces itself. There's also a button you can click to make announcements if you need to. If a fail sends and it'll go through a propagation node, that's like a relay or a repeater node in the network, that's useful. I'm not going to go through everything. I'll just stop when I spot something I want to change. So I'll just go through these without saying too much. Don't need stamp costs. Maybe there's not so much needs changing. Dark theme, I like dark theme, good. Yeah, glyphs is like emojis. Leave it on standard. Mouse enabled, yes. Oh yeah, so for editing it's going to use Nano anyway in that user interface. If you click on edit, it'll start Nano. Hide the guide, no. It's useful sometimes. Node hosting set to no. I'm going to change that to yes because I'm going to try hosting a page in a few minutes. So let's set that to yes. No neighbor visible appears in the network unincluded announces. Let's give it a name. I'm going to call it the name of this computer, which is T480A. And if you are a real ThinkPad connoisseur, you'll know that's a Lenovo ThinkPad. Anyway, it's that one. So that's the name of this node instead of none. Announce interval 360. What's that? That's 6 minutes, isn't it? Which is okay. Announce start. Yes. Tra-la-la. Disable propagation, yes, because I don't want to set up a propagation node at the moment, which is like a relay or a repeater for messages to go through on behalf of other people, not yet. What else? Prioritize destinations. When there's a hash, of course, it means there's a comment, so it's going to ignore all of this. We'll just leave it like that for the moment. These settings at the default values. Print messages, no, I haven't got enough paper. Maybe that's it. Yeah, that's probably it. Oh, well, let's say that's it for the moment. So do Control X for exit. Oh, no, sorry. Wrong editor. We don't do that at all. I'm going to save it. This asterisk means that it hasn't been saved yet, so do Control S. Now it's been saved. I'll leave it open, so I can keep putting things in and saving it again. So that's the config file being edited. Where is the Nomadnet program? It's probably not running. So let's run it by typing Nomadnet. Oh, it looks like it's going to work. Look at that. So there was the guide that I showed you earlier and the edit the config file that will start Nano. If we click on network, you can see that this software here, this program running, or an app as people like to call it these days, which is called Nomadnet, it has some addresses. It has a LXMF address. That's like its email address for receiving messages. It's not included in transmitted messages, so a receiver of a message doesn't know where it came from in both directions. It's announced itself on the Reticulum network some seconds ago. If you want to announce again manually, you just click the button and it does it. Then you click on OK, or you can use the keyboard, but I'm lazy, using a trackpad on the laptop. So the announce works. name anonymous peer. Actually, can I change that? Yeah, I'm going to change it to T480A as well. 0A, and then hit save. Saved. Okay. So, node info, let's just have a look at that, see what it says. So there's the name I gave it. There's its node address. It's not storing LXMF messages on behalf of other people. I think that's what that means. And it's done an announce, and it's connected to some things already. That's interesting. So I'll just tell you what these mean. You can click these. I'm not going to. Back goes back to the previous page. Browse means browse the page that's being hosted from this node, which I haven't set up yet. RST stats means reset stats. So when you click on that, these go back to 0. And announce does an announce, like I just did. So that's that. Up at the top, there's another menu. I was looking at network just now. We already looked at config and guide. The log shows the log of events, what's happening. Yeah, no propagation nodes yet. That's fine. So it's running, doing things. If you click on conversations, that's where you can send messages, and there are no messages yet. So those will appear later. What I want to do in this video is to set up a self-hosted page. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to exit this before I do it. So let's just close this. No, let's not do that. Let's close it like this, quit, because I have another tab open. Oh, I was running it twice. That's interesting. Oh, you see how easy it is to mess things up. So it's still running. It's running twice. So let's exit here and try to remember to run it in this left-hand tab of the terminal window, and the default config file has been created, which is this one because there wasn't one there before, which I just edited, and hopefully I'm sure it has stayed edited. Yes. What you need to do is to add some other things, like I want to connect it to the public interfaces. So now I've closed it, and what I'm going to do next is to add a Testnet node. These were the two Testnet nodes that were visible in the Nomad network when I was talking about the mesh chat program that we were using to look at the Nomad network. So I need to edit the config file again, which is that one. And having found the config file, what I need to do now is to find the addresses and the parameters for the testnet nodes. And a quick way of doing that is to look at this page, public testnet. Again, I'll put the link in the description below. And these are not always guaranteed to be running, of course, because it's experimental and they're not permanent services that are being offered, so they may come and go. There's also no date on this page, so it's hard to know how old it is. It could be a couple of years old for all I know. These entry points are also important. You need to add some of these into the config file so that you can access some parts of the network. But what I'm going to do is add an entry node first of all. I mean a testnet node, so that we can serve up those pages into the testnet. And I think this one is offline today. This one I don't see very often online, and this is I2P, which is a whole other kettle of fish. That's something that's different from the internet. It's going to be another rabbit hole I'm going to go down at some point. What I do have somewhere is in my notes, I do have the parameters for this one, the Amsterdam testnet node. So let's use this. So all I have to do is add this into the config file and copy that, go to my editor, and actually I can do this because it's not nano. Let's just delete that. And I'm going to post it right at the top of the file so I can find it. Maybe there's a proper place to put network connections, but if I put it at the top, I know where to find it quickly when I want to change it. So I'm going to save this with Control S. That's saved. And then, of course, restart the Nomadnet program. Let's see what happens. So hopefully it will load up without any errors and be able to connect to that testnet. Oh, What's this? Interesting. Anyway, if I look at network, something I didn't show earlier on is I can, by using these key presses at the bottom of the page, which I don't think you can click on. No, you can't. But Control L will list what's been heard in terms of announcements. So I'm going to press Control L, and let's see what we see. There we are. These are announcements that have been made from other nodes in the Reticulum network already, which have been picked up in this software. So we can see those, and if we wanted to, we could talk to them or look at them, but I'm just going to leave those alone. I've announced myself automatically almost a minute ago. The node info hasn't changed. For this node, you can see there are things happening, so it all appears to be working. And what I want to do is to host a page. And if we look in the guide somewhere, it talks about how you can host here, hosting a node. This is interesting, and it talks about the different kinds of pages that you can host. I think there might be some examples somewhere. Maybe it was further down, but it's not very easy to use. Also, if you want to copy and paste anything out of this, I learned that, because remember this is a terminal program, you need to highlight it. Now normally you just double click on it, which I'm doing now, and nothing happens. You have to press left shift and then click the left hand mouse or trackpad key, and then you can drag across and you can highlight text. Then if you want to copy it, you would type Control Shift C, because it's a terminal, not just Control C. I'm not going to do it that way, but just to show you. And if I click on it, it doesn't go away. You have to hold down the Shift key and then click on it to make the highlighting go away. So that's something I learned during this process. Anyway, I'm going to try to host a page. And to be able to do that, we need to know where it has to be put. And again, so you get an overview of where things go, I'm going to look here in this .nomad network directory, and examples gives you some example pages. This is an example for a message board, which I haven't tried using yet. So this is the Python code for the message board, and the .mu is the markup language, or maybe a markdown language for the page itself. And it's coded in Micron. It's not HTML. It's a little language called Micron, which I think has been developed purely for this application. Anyway, those are the examples. And if we go up one layer further, one directory further, here, storage is where various things are stored. And one of the things that's stored is called pages. And if you look in pages, that is the location where the index or first page needs to be hosted for the web server kind of thing. Just like in normal HTML, you have an index.html file. Here we would have to have an index.mu file. So what I'm going to do is create one of those, and I'm going to do it on the command line because it's quicker and easier. So I just have to change to the right directory, which is going to be interesting. Let me just do ls-al so I can see what directories I've got. It's called .nomad network. So let's see if this works. Just press tab to finish the word. There we are. And if we look in there, this is what we were looking at earlier on the file manager. So we need to change to storage. And what's in there? Hopefully we've got the directory, which is called pages. There it is. So cd pages. And if we do an ls in there, it's empty. Right. I'm going to create the first page. So we just do sudo nano, what's it called? index.mu. So that's going to be my first pages. What's my password? So this is, make sure I've got the right place. Whoops, it's easy to get this wrong. .nomad network /storage /pages. Okay, what I'm going to put in there is just some text, like hello world. That's what I'm going to say, and that's it. So Control X to exit, save it, yes, that's the file name. So there it is. Let's just make sure that it's been created. Index.mu. So I've now got an index page. Actually, to load it into the server, you need to restart the program. There was a setting in the config file which I forgot to change where you can tell it to automatically update the index page without having to restart the software, and I haven't done that yet, so I'll just quit and start again. Next time I edit the config file, I'll put it in there. So we're going to start Nomadnet again, and it will load that page I just put in. I'm doing this live again, so let's see if it actually is going to work. So if we go to Network and Node Info, that's my node, and if I click on Browse, it should show me, wow, it worked. My goodness. It's showing me a page that's being hosted and publicly accessible via Reticulum on the Nomad network. And the page contains 2 words so far, but it actually works. I'm surprised, but in a good way. So let's have a look at other ways of putting stuff on that page, because that's a bit simple. What I didn't say was you have to set the permissions, or check them at least, for the page that you're trying to host. I had a problem earlier because I created them in a different directory and I was root at the time, and I had to change the permissions so that the program could actually serve up those pages. And I forgot to check this time, but it actually worked fine. If it doesn't work, then you need to, using this ls-al command, let's do that anyway and see who the owner is, because I'm interested now. Let's do ls-al. So that index.mu page that we're looking at has got these attributes. So read, write, read, read. Okay. It seems to be good enough. So that's nice. I need to go on this tab back to the program that's running. So it worked. And what I want to do, having checked that that was correct and it works, so I don't need to change anything here. No group membership or permissions changes so far necessary. That may change when it's a Python program. What I need to do now is to put some more interesting things in there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this quickly. And if we look at this, somebody showed me this. Thank you to everybody who's helped me, by the way. I can't name them all, but various people on GitHub and various people around the internet have given me clues how to get this working. So thank you to you. You know who you are. And thank you to people who wrote all this open source software. This thing is called the Micron Playground. So it's for the Micron language, that is the language of pages that are hosted in the Nomad network. This is a little playground where you can, it's a parser in fact, where you can put in code and then see how it's going to look on a web page. So ignore the left-hand side, look at this right-hand side. This is an example web page, which is actually the help page, or the guide as it's called, in the Nomadnet software that we were just running. So what you can do, if you like something you see here, you can highlight it, and then, or maybe this, highlight that, and then you can go back here and look for it. What I'm going to do is look at the left-hand side, which is the actual code that generates this text on the right on the page. I'm not going to go through all of that. All I do is I copy-paste chunks out of here so that I can use them. Like this first message, hello, and so on. You can see that some of it's bold and it's centered. That's what the C means, and so on. It's a new language to learn. What I'm going to do is click in here, do Control-A, to select all, and hit delete. Now it's all gone. So I've just deleted it. I haven't deleted the whole guide for the whole world. It's only, I think, my local view of the website. I can put something else in here. Like if I paste in hello world, then you see what comes out on that side is also hello world. So you can play around with the code in Micron language that you put in this side and see what it's going to look like on the page that side. And when you're happy it looks how you want it, you just copy and paste it from this side and put it into the index.mu or whatever page it is. And from there, it's hosted as a page that can be seen on the Nomadnet. What else would I want to do? There, I think probably I don't want to be too long with this video, so there's one other place I discovered just a few hours ago, which I'm going to show you, and I'm very grateful for this. Let's hope he doesn't take it down too soon. Is this page, which I discovered via the Node Blue server which I found just by chance a few hours ago, and he provides a link to templates that he's made for the markup language that's used on those web pages, the language I just showed you. So you can just download these and edit them yourself and use them. I imagine that you're allowed to use them. He's made it publicly available, which is very, very kind of, who is it? Well, we don't know his name. Etux, anyway. And thank you to him. So this should make it easy just to download these, copy paste to build up some nice looking pages. So that's what I'll be doing for the next few hours, and then hopefully I'll be able to make a new video where I can show you how I created some pages. Anyway, I think that's enough for now. And if you have any questions or comments or can help me with anything, please write in the comment section below. And please let me know how you're getting on. If you've tried this, or if you haven't yet, I recommend you do try it. And you can, of course, make this available via the internet connection, which is what this one is at the moment. Or if you plug in an R node, a radio node, you can then have this transmitting packets in the 868 megahertz ISM band. And these web pages will be available then via a radio link, which I just got working a few hours ago as well. Of course, it's not very fast, but when the web page only contains a few bytes of information, then it doesn't matter that it's a slow link. And then you have a web server that can serve up web pages completely off-grid, independently of the internet, where people can read messages, and you can also host things like a BBS or a message board, which I'd like to do soon, where you've got a communications forum. Again, I showed you one of these in one of my Nomadnet videos I made. So let's see if we can meet there. Just to finish off, I'm going to run that rn status command again, which I tried earlier, which didn't produce any output, because now that the program has been running for a while and everything's set up, and I put in the testnet interface, let's try it, see what we get, and sure enough, we see we have some connections. Again, I think the default interface is the internet connection. The shared instance is this machine here that's connected to it. And you see that here, somehow there are two. I added that one manually into the config file, as you saw, the Amsterdam connection. And somehow this has also got added in between the borders, which is another one I use, but I don't think I actually added it in myself. It may be that it's grabbed these from the config file for the Reticulum mesh chat program, which I installed earlier on this computer. Maybe it's done that. There may be some shared information between them. But anyway, it's working, so that's good, and there's even some data flow. Anyway, thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you think it's appropriate, and please make plenty of comments in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.